In this section, we're going to go over calling a function and changing parameters inside of a function, changing the values inside of those parameters. So let's get to it. So it's like the last section, we'll go ahead and create a main function. And we'll say we want to make the value equal to 99, right? And then we want to print that value. You say the value is, and then we'll say value, right? And then we'll say change underscore me, which would be a new function, and we'll make that function later, okay? And we'll say print back in main the value is, and then we'll print that value. So that's it for the function. So let's define the change me function. So we'll say change me, and we'll say we'll put the parameter as arg, as argument, okay? And we'll say print I am changing the value. I am changing the value to, we'll say the argument is, we'll set arg equal to 0. Then let's print it. Now the value is arg. So let's go down here and call the main function and see what happens here. So let's go through what we just did. We set up a main function and we called it down here. We called main function. So go here and set the values equal to 99. We'll print the value is 99, and then we put value back in change me. We called the change me function inside of the main function. So go down here. 99 is going to be inside of arg, inside of the parameter arg, and it's going to start with I am changing the value. We set the arg to 0, and then now the value is arg. What is arg? Arg is 0. So now that function is done running. It's going to go back up here and say back in the main function value is, what do you think value is? This is a test of how you understand local and global variables. So what we do know about local variables, those are variables that are held inside of the function. Global variables are variables that are predefined outside of the function and are completely separate from the function and are true throughout the whole program. So think about it and let's run the program. So we're going to go ahead and run change me, and here the value is 99. I am changing the value, so here you can see value is 99, the value is 99. I am changing the value, so we ran the change me function, we passed value into change me. I'm changing the value, the argument is equal to 0, so now the value is arg. Arg is 0. That's a local variable inside of that function. So we're done running this function. Going back up to the function in the main function, print back in the main value is, it will be 99. Since this is the local variable, this is what is always set to, so value is 99. So I hope you guys follow along there, and that went over a little bit about what exactly a difference between global and uh, local variables. So let's go over global and local variables in a different program. So now we're back with a fresh program slate. We're going to call the program global variable or global var. And so let's create a global variable with let's say the value is equal to 10. All right. And then we create a function that says show value. So we want to print my value. And we'll call this function my value. So I want you guys to think about it a little bit and think about what exactly is going to run here. What is going to be be the output of of this function that we just called show value. All right, so let's go ahead and run. Let's run global var, and the number that pops up is 10. So since it's preset that the value is 10, my value, we passed it, we were print 10. So let's look at another example of local versus global variables. Okay, so now we have another blank slate here. Let's go ahead and create a global variable, and we'll call it number, and we'll set it equal to 0. All right, and we'll make a main function and set this. We want to call that global variable, so we'll set it and say global number, and we want number equal to a user input. And so we're going to have to convert a string into an integer. You want to ask the user to enter a number. All right, and we'll create a new function called show number, and we'll set that function to we'll set this up here, and we'll tell the user to we'll print out what the user just entered. The number you entered is, and then the number, and then we'll call the main function. All right, so what do you guys think is going to happen here? So let's look at what we did. We set up a global variable number, right? And it's called here, right? So number is set up here. We call that global variable here, and we want to input the number that the user inputted into the program into that global variable number, and then we're going to run the function show number, and then that um, that number that the user inputted is going to be printed out here, and then with the number here. So let's go ahead and run the program and see what happens. So we want to enter the number 2. It prints out the number 2. What happened here is that we changed what the global variable was inside of the function by calling the global variable here and dumping the contents of whatever the user inputted into the variable number. And then now that enabled, because we called the global variable and dumped the contents of whatever the user inputted into number, we can call that same global variable that we set up here in a different function. And there are different ways you can you could have gone about it. You could have set up argument parameters, which we will do in the next section, uh, and pass that information into the argument parameters and print it out number that way. But this just shows you the different ways you can go about calling global variables, modifying what global variables are, and and modifying them inside of one function and having them affect another function.